So, Dr. Ioannis, thank you very much for accepting the interview. First off, I want to ask you, Turkey is exploring for gas and oil in the Mediterranean. Could you please explain why this is problematic for Greece?
It is problematic because Greece considers this territory, these maritime zones, to fall within its own jurisdiction. So there has been a long-standing dispute between Greece and Turkey on the delineation of their maritime borders. And this includes territorial waters, included continental shelf. Now it also includes the exclusive economic zone. So the operations of Turkey give an impression and establish a situation whereby Turkey appears to be the country having the sovereign rights to explore there. So Greece disputes that. So this is the reason why the presence of the Turkish exploration vessel is causing so much reactions by Greece, because Greece considers this to be a violation of Greek sovereign rights.
Yeah, you already mentioned the reactions. Do you see, like in the reactions on both sides, a serious possibility for military conflicts, for even a war?
Well, when there is a concentration of military forces, like the one we're witnessing in the Eastern Mediterranean, there's always a risk of an accident and a conflict. So I don't think that any of the sides would really deliberately pursue war, but accidents are not impossible under these conditions. So what should be done, in my view, is to remove the forces and remove all the vessels from there, and then create the conditions for a dialogue. So the problem can be resolved by diplomatic means or by juridical means. So if the two countries disagree on the limits of their maritime zones, they could agree to refer the issue to the International Court of Justice.
Is there like a possibility of doing a contract between those two countries, would that be another possibility of a solution for the conflict? Or maybe can you explain more solutions in your view, how to solve this?
Well, international disputes are solved by a number of means. It can be resolved through negotiation if we assume that using violence is illegal and unacceptable in our time, right? So states sit in the same table and negotiate. Sometimes they agree, like Italy and Greece agreed recently to draw their maritime borders in the exclusive economic zone agreement they signed recently. If they don't agree, they can agree to bring the issue to an international court. There have been several cases of the International Court of Justice in The Hague, where states that disagreed about the length of their territorial waters or continental shelf or exclusive economic zone referred the case there, and then the court decided, because as you may imagine, every country has a position, every country has interests. The question is, how can these interests be reconciled on the basis of international law? So ideally, the countries can agree on a compromise together. If they cannot do that, then they can agree to move to the court, because the court can strike this compromise. If the countries are not ready for a compromise or are not willing to have a compromise, then the problem becomes established, and sort of this lack of solution becomes a source of instability in the future, because right now we have an escalation. In a few weeks' time, we may have a sort of a calming down of the situation. But if the countries don't try to resolve the problem, a crisis may emerge again. Of course, ideally, countries should try to solve such problems when they have moderately calm relations, right? So it is difficult to solve the problem in the heart of a confrontation because sort of excitement is high and emotions are high. But what we definitely need right now is to reduce tension, remove the military forces from the ground, develop a sort of a series of activities from all sides. So let's come to the situation before summer, and then find a way to solve the dispute by peaceful and diplomatic means.
Mm-hmm. Well, the tension between those two countries isn't new. Could you maybe explain to us what events, historic events happened in the past that led to the current situation?
Well, there are a number of different disputes between Greece and Turkey. So the bilateral relations have been very burdened for years, for decades, and I'm not even adding the Cyprus problem, which is an international issue. Of course, it is related to Greece and Turkey in many ways, but because Cyprus is an independent state, we can even put it aside. But ever since the 1970s, Greece and Turkey have disagreements on their delineation of their maritime borders. So ever since 1974, there have been discussions. There was an attempt to bring the issue to the court back in the late 70s, mid-late 70s, which failed. In the meantime, there was an international convention on the law of the sea that was signed in Jamaica in 1982, which is signed by the vast majority of all countries in the world. And this has sort of put the discussion of Greek-Turkish disputes in a new framework because of some articles of this convention. Turkey has refused to sign this treaty and ratify this international treaty because that convention gives, in principle, equal rights to islands and mainlands. So it doesn't distinguish between islands and mainlands. This is something that was against the fundamental Turkish position already in the 1970s. Because Greece has many islands and Turkey has very few islands, right? So Turkey has refused to sign this agreement, although sometimes it refers to some of the articles that this agreement has. But so far it hasn't signed the agreement and ratified the agreement. In my opinion, I think that the convention offers sufficient instruments and tools for a fair resolution of the conflict. So all legitimate concerns of all sides, and I refer to the Greek side and the Turkish side, can be met through a sort of comprehensive application of the law of the sea.
Well, you already mentioned the big topic of Cyprus. I want to talk more about that. Why is the conflict about Cyprus so essential for the relationship between Greece and Turkey?
Well, it is so essential because Cyprus has been a state that where Greek and Turkish nationalism has been competing against each other for many, many decades. And because it's still, although Cyprus is an independent state, it is a member of the United Nations, it is a member of the European Union, the Cyprus problem has a very big effect on the public opinion of Greece particularly, and Turkey as well. So the failure of resolving the Cyprus problem shows that one cannot trust each other. So Greek public opinion says that Turkey cannot be trusted. Turkish public opinion says that Greece cannot be trusted. And to add to this, if we are following the current escalation in the Eastern Mediterranean, the problem started again with Cyprus, because Turkey has refused to recognize the Republic of Cyprus since 1963, when the bicommunal state collapsed, and argues that the Republic of Cyprus has no right to explore its exclusive economic zone without the consent of Turkish Cypriots. And because Turkey has recognized alone in the whole world the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus, claims to explore on behalf of the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus, which of course the Republic of Cyprus does not accept, right? So this problem spilled over to the Greek-Turkish relations, because right now where the Turkish vessel operates is within not the Cypriot, but the Greek exclusive economic zone, according to Greece's and Cyprus' view. Turkey disputes this view. But you see that the problem started again in the Cypriot waters and moved west to Greek waters. And this, of course, shows that it would be best if all the issues could be resolved together. So in a sense, removing the Cyprus issue could make the resolution of Greek-Turkish disputes much easier.
Well, mentioning the public opinion, does the conflict and also the rhetoric of the Prime Minister affect the Greek population and the way of thinking about Turkey and the population of Turkey?
Well, all political leaders have influence on the public opinion, but I think what's more important even is the role of media and social media in our time. So if you follow the way that these developments are being reported or commented in the media outlets of every country, you'll see that it's very easy to ignite nationalist fervor and engage with the topic in a very sort of polemical way, which may resound very well with established view of the topic in every country, but is not very constructive. Because if somebody wants to build a bridge or seek the ground for compromise, then this person will find out that this ground is quite limited. So leadership is very important, but also the role of the media is particularly important.
Well, how would you evaluate the position of Greek people, to Turkey today? Like, how is the situation? Do they work together? And what do they think about Turkey? Well,
the last 9 months have been quite difficult, have been quite trying for Greek-Turkish relations. There have been a number of developments that have sort of reignited all fears and concerns within the Greek public opinion. The Greek public opinion considered traditionally that there was a threat from Turkey and Turkey's military might, and also unilateral unilateralist attitude in international relations can pose a challenge to Greece's sovereignty and security. So all these latest developments have unfortunately reinforced this image. And it's up to politicians of both sides, and it's up to Turkish leadership too, to find ways to dispel these concerns and bring the issues to the diplomatic field, which is where disputes between neighbors should be resolved.
Well, about the Turkish leadership, how has the relationship between Turkey and Greece changed since President Erdogan became president?
Well, this is a very long time now, unless you are asking 2014. Are we going back to 2002 when he became prime minister, 2003, or 2014?
I'm referring to 2014 when he really established his power.
Well, until last year, the relationship was more or less manageable. There were no major confrontations that were recorded. There was no progress either. And a big opportunity was missed to solve the Cyprus issue in Crown Montana in 2017. But as of the end of last year, there has been a steady deterioration of the relationship. And this started with the Libya-Turkey Memorandum of Understanding that involved the maritime zone delineation agreement that openly sort of violated Greek territorial maritime zone rights in the Eastern Mediterranean, south of Crete. Then there was the refugee crisis or the migrant crisis on the Greek-Turkish border in March that also raised enormous tension. Then we had this spillover of the drilling operation disputes from Cyprus towards the side of Greece. And there have been, of course, other issues too, like the conversion of Hagia Sophia and Hora into mosques. These, of course, are not, strictly speaking, Greek-Turkish issues. They're sort of issues that are of an international nature, right? But because we talked about public opinion, these decisions have really hurt the image of Turkey in front of the Greek public opinion. It's sort of, although, as I said, it's not something that the Greek government is sort of, is raising in its bilateral discussions with Turkey, the view of the view of the Turkish government or the view of the Turkish state in front of the Greek public opinion has suffered a major blow following these decisions. And this was only added to the previous blows that I described in the beginning of my comment. So it's a quite difficult situation right now.
Yeah, but well, apart from these conflicts you mentioned, there are a lot cultural similarities between those two countries. How does this affect the relationship and the public opinion?
Well, you're right in pointing that, and let me remind you that I work in a Turkish university myself. Yes, I've been living in Turkey for many, many years. So I'm the first to attest to what you said, that about the existence of cultural similarities between the Greek and Turkish people. And in the last 20 years, there have been a lot of important improvements in that field in terms of trade, civil society cooperation, in terms of relative improvement of the rights of minorities in both countries, like in Greece and Turkey. So things are not as bad as they were, for example, in the late 90s, right? But we are going through a difficult period in the last weeks and months. This is also important to highlight. And it is also important to stress that it is possible to escape this conflict and this escalation by using the means that the international law and international diplomacy provide in such cases. So there is nothing special or extraordinary about the Greek-Turkish disputes and the particular dispute there. It is up to the parties to come to a point whereby they can agree that violence is not the way forward. It won't solve any problem. And they can reduce tension, and ideally they should develop a method, they should develop a policy that would lead to the resolution of the disputes.
Well, Greece is part of the European Union. Turkey is not. What effect does this have?
Well, being a member of the European Union allows Greece up to a point to offset Turkey's bigger military and demographic and economic size. So it gives Greece some leverage in that relationship. But the real leverage that the European Union gave Greece was, in my view, the leverage that was understood almost 20 years ago, like 21 years ago, in Helsinki in December 1999, when Turkey became a candidate state for EU membership. And this was the fact that the European Union had this transformative effect on its candidate states, on its periphery. So through the European Union, Greece hoped that Turkey would become a democratic, liberal, plural society, respecting the rule of law. And this would in then turn help Turkey and Greece resolve their disputes upon the basis of international law. So that was a sort of a different understanding of the European Union as a catalyst in Greek-Turkish disputes. It's not that the European Union is taking Greece's side, period. It's that the European Union is helping Turkey reform itself so that Greece and Turkey can come on the same basis regarding social, political values and regarding respect for the rule of law and international law as well, so they can resolve their disputes.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Ioannis, for the interview. It was a pleasure.
Most welcome.